to change, you filthy animal.
Yippee-ki-yay!
You fidget now you don't fade, you.
Shaken, not stirred.
You talking to me?
You're a wizard, Harry.
I volunteer as tribute.
Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
Deirdre Chambers.
What a coincidence.
That's so fat.
How? Woo.
Wakanda forever!
Welcome back, my little sea urchins, to Not My Genre, the Fireteller Film Review. It's episode 46, and today we are doing the Sea Beast, which is...
Sea Beast.
Excuse me, I can hear an echo in here.
Yeah.
You just ruined my beginning. You ruined my introduction. I was about to say...
It was so good.
Oh, my God, stop it. Get in the
Who
corner.
are you again?
I'm Nate.
And I'm Will.
Yes, you're Will.
And
Great.
we are Fireteller Film and Story. We're a video production house. Video production. I was like I was
Breathe.
underwater.
Breathe
I was
for a
underwater.
second.
There's going to be a lot of nautical jokes in this podcast. We are Fireteller Film and Story. We're a video production house based in Perth, Western Australia.
We are.
And we are also storytellers.
Yes.
In fact, we are primarily storytellers.
And our mission
story
is
educators.
to connect, teach, and change the world with sharing stories. Watch out for our e-course and book coming out soonish.
Cool. So, the Sea Beast.
The Sea Beast. Hey, look, I loved this movie. Do you want to...
Where did this little gem come from?
It just showed up last week. What happened?
Netflix.
It's now in like the top... I think it's the
I think it's the number one film.
it's the number one film, though, on Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
Can you tell us what it is
On
about?
Netflix.
Netflix. Tell us
And
about
Netflix,
it.
because, Carl Urban, who's the main character in this,
You-
is from New Zealand.
Earlier today, you had a slip of the tongue and you said it was Keith Urban.
Oh my God, I did.
You did. And I didn't want to say anything. I was like, hang on, have I got something wrong?
Who's Keith Urban again?
Keith
Nicole
Urban's
Kidman.
Nicole Kid-
Cadman's,
Nicole Kidman's.
Cadman's.
Jesus,
Cadbury.
we're frothing today.
Frothing.
Tell us what the film's about, please.
Right, synopsis. When a young girl stows away on a ship of a legendary sea monster hunter, they launch an epic journey into uncharted waters and make history to boot.
Fantastic. That sounds very intriguing.
Yes, I made that up all by myself.
You did. When did you watch this movie, Will?
Credit to IMDb for that one.
Credit to IMDb. When did you watch the movie?
About a week ago.
First impressions.
My first impression score was a 7 for this one.
7.
Quite liked it.
7 out of 10.
Yeah.
For all those who've just tuned in, we have 3 scores. This is the first impression. So when we've just finished watching the movie, what did we think? I'm giving this a 9.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a high score.
Giving it a 9.
Why is that?
Well, look,
Well,
I
we're
know-
going to get into that.
We're going to get into it.
But
okay?
just on a first impressions level.
There may have been wine involved. I'm not going to lie.
So you saw it on the weekend.
I saw it on the weekend. No, but there wasn't that much wine. No, it was just, I don't know. I'm a bit of a story geek, and so are you. I'm
Yeah.
a story geek. So when I see a film like this, that's I think is really well constructed in the story, I get excited. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it transcends me in a
and
way.
you know what? Animation films where they have the time to be able to really perfect and rewrite scenes, reanimate scenes, and redo things. Often do have really great stories, don't they?
Yeah.
Maybe also the fact that they are often made for kids and they have to be really clear with their storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question is, did I give this a higher score than Elvis? Yeah, I did. Like, oh
That's
my
all right.
gosh.
You like what you like.
I know.
Would you say this is your genre?
Definitely. So, adventures, swashbuckling stuff,
Yeah, you like
pirates
that.
and on the
Oh,
sea.
my
and
God. You know what? I know you
Shit like that.
spent like a week on the Lewin, didn't you?
I did 10 days on the Lewin. Yeah, the Lewin
Yeah.
is like a big sort of, a sail ship, pirate ship. I
Yeah.
did. You're bringing
You
this up
know
from
this,
the past.
but you got so
Jesus.
seasick that you vomited or
Got
something.
so seasick. It was 10 days. We went from Port Hedland to Broome. It was like a big sea
Jesus,
adventure.
just say for anyone that doesn't know, Port Hedland to Broome is literally like length. Like from north to south of Australia.
Yeah,
It's so far.
It's not that far, but yeah, it was.
No, it's not that far.
It wasn't. I'm surprised.
Were you like a full-on pirate? Were you like pulling the ropes and everything?
Yes.
This is why you like Pirates of the Caribbean so much.
Shut up, let me speak as a frothing. So we did have factions, and we had to do night watch. I had to get up at like 3 in the morning, and I had to do like a 5-hour night watch. Like,
That's amazing
like
and
we-
hilarious.
I was
you
like, in year 12, or so I was 17.
were you up in the crow's nest?
Yeah.
Did you go ahoy Mahadi?
Did
bet
listen
you
to
did.
me. I had one of those, those peak transcendental moments.
Oh, God,
I've only had a
yes.
few of them in my life.
I know. We
One
all have
of them-
those key moments.
One of them was on the Lewin, and it was on the crow's nest, Will. at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was up there by myself and I looked out and there was a full moon. We're in the middle of the ocean, but you can't see land.
Yeah.
Like you're in the fucking depths of the ocean.
Wow.
Like the sea beast that we're about to talk about. And the ocean, the moon, the full moon was creating like a staircase to the moon on the water and all the waves and lit me up on the crow's nest. It was transcendental.
Wow. Transcendental.
Transcendental. Can we actually talk about the movie?
Yeah, let's talk about the movie.
The story score.
That's right. We want to get onto that. I didn't actually explain
Yes.
why I gave this my score for first impression.
Right.
Either.
Why? Tell me.
I just found that it was great, but just a little kiddie for me. That's all.
Well, it is a kids' movie, and I know what you're going to say. You're going to say that the monster's a kiddie, but I'm going to disprove that. But we'll get there.
Well, just on that. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Like, let's get on to story.
Okay.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
So, story. The screenplay for this one was written by Chris Williams and Nell Benjamin. Chris Williams was also the director of this film. So Chris Williams, he's done story work on Moana, on Bolt, on The Emperor's New Groove, Mulan. Obviously worked on a lot of animations, and he's also the director of Big Hero 6, Moana,
Co-director
and
of
Bolt.
Moana and then
Right,
Bolt.
co-director.
So these are. I mean, I got to say, some of these are some of our top movies. Like,
Oh
you know,
yeah, They're great. I
Will-
love Moana.
Moana. Bolt. I can't stop going on about Bolt. Like, you still haven't seen it. You need to see
Yeah,
it.
I know you did see that one.
And
I
also,
love Emperor's New Groove. I know you don't like that one.
I'm not a fan of that, but I really, really love Big Hero 6.
And I love Mulan.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
So this
We
guy,
are fans, Chris Williams.
yeah. I mean, the reason why I watched this in the first place is because I heard that he
Yeah.
had been working on
Yeah.
the story of Moana. I was like, wow, okay, this is going to be
Yeah,
this is going to
here's
be
the
awesome.
real deal. Also, fun fact.
Yeah. What?
Chris Williams is a fan of George Miller. And George Miller,
Really?
he said that in an article, he said that Mad Max, the number 2, what was it called?
I don't know the second one. Sorry.
The second one. The second Mad Max, I believe,
Yes.
was a big inspiration for him.
For this movie,
Return to Thunderdome? No, Thunderdome.
for the Sea Beast.
No, not for this film.
Oh, just in
for,
general.
just in general. And
Oh,
also
I see.
I think from an action sequence point of view.
Fantastic.
I mean, George Miller does construct action sequences like no one else. It's
He's
incredible.
amazing. There were some great action sequences in the Sea Beast.
Yeah.
Actually, I just really love this movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
What were you
can
going
I
to say?
just say also story consultants were Mattson Tomlin and Sam Stratton, and also
Fantastic.
I believe there's a whole team of story at Sony Pictures Imageworks. So there's a lot of other names that we need to mention here. But
Was
we
this Sony? Was it?
yes, it was a Sony
Okay,
Pictures
good.
Imageworks film. Film.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
So what did you connect to the story at all, Will?
I
for the Sea
did.
Beast?
I actually quite liked the story.
What did you like about it?
What I liked was the juxtaposition between the two characters. I liked that you had this swashbuckling hero, and that he
The girl?
was no the guy.
The guy.
The guy.
Okay.
I
I found her a bit more swashbuckling than him, to be honest.
Well, she was a little bit. She was a little bit more brave in some instances.
Let's be clear. It's a little girl.
It's a little girl.
Sure, how old is
So
she? Maybe
I liked,
7 or 8 or something. Maybe a bit older. 9.
I like the contrast between those two characters.
And
I thought
then-
that was clever.
Then you've got like a John Smith sort of,
Yeah. Yeah.
swashbuckling sort of sailor
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Precocious little girl with arrogant swashbuckling sailor.
Yeah.
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 I like their relationship. I felt it was genuine. I thought it was interesting. I obviously we want to talk about the binary that those two characters represented, opposite sides of the coin, like we also mentioned in Lightyear.
What did you think the binary was? The value binary for this movie?
So this is an interesting one. So when we talk about value binaries, quick teaching point, we like to separate them into a few different categories. So we have strength values, which are often contrasted with feeling values, and we have order values, which are often contrasted with what we call intuition values. And there's a series of
Intuitive
different-
understanding.
Intuitive understanding.
Yeah.
So there's a few different values that all are grouped under those titles that I said: strength, feeling, order, and intuition.
Yeah.
So your strength values, I believe this was actually a strength versus feeling binary. So we
Yeah.
have one character representing strength, representing this is Jacob representing all those. I'm throwing at the mouth.
You're having a bit of a froth today. Jesus Christ.
Representing those he's a strong man. He's a hero. He's got all those skills to do with sailing.
Just
and
because
monsters.
a character's got big muscles and is strong doesn't mean that they're representing the strength value, though.
That's
Let's
true,
be clear.
but he is very skilled in monster capture.
Okay.
And I think he does represent that skill.
Okay.
What he lacks is the ability to connect to those monsters, to see beyond this. Well, sorry, not to see beyond the surface. That's intuition, but to actually have a relationship with the monsters, to see them as, see them as
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
beings,
Yeah.
to love them, I suppose, which is what Maisie, the little girl, brings.
Maisie. What's his name again?
Jacob.
Jacob and Maisie. Okay. I think on the outside, it does look like a strength versus feeling film.
Oh, you don't think it was?
Well, no, I think it was trying to be. But I
Right,
think
okay.
that, and it absolutely could have been. It could have been a lot stronger. I think it had a lot of flaws in the representation.
Right, okay.
I think. I mean, the very first thing off the bat is like when we're first introduced to Maisie, you know, she's telling the story of the sailors and how they kill the monsters.
Oh, that's true.
And
yeah.
she's telling this story to a bunch of little kids. Then she gets reprimanded. Then she escapes that night, and she becomes a stowaway onto Jacob's ship. Jacob's not the captain, by the way. He's going to become the captain. So she becomes a stowaway on his ship because she wants to be part of the action. She wants to be part of the killing of the monsters.
Yeah.
She wants to be like Jacob, and she wants to be like Captain Crow, who's the captain, who's becomes one
You're
of the
right.
the
Actually, now that you
nemesis.
say that, it's a really interesting point, because that is a perversion of Jacob's value of that skill and that strength and that essentially, which is capturing and killing monsters. She's enamored by that, and she's she obviously really holds that in high regard. Which completely doesn't work.
Doesn't work. On the other side of the binary, you've got on the other side of the story, you've got Jacob, who, when we're first introduced to him, I don't know if you remember, there was a sequence when they were, I think it was the first time we saw them, they were pursuing the Red Bluster, and the Red Bluster becomes a major character in the movie. This gigantic red sea monster that everyone wants to kill. They're pursuing the Red Bluster, and Captain Crow for 30 years has been trying to catch the Red Bluster. And this is his first chance he's got to actually kill him. And he's going after Red Bluster, and then somebody else from the Crow's Nest says, Crow's Nest points in the opposite direction and said, oh no, there's another ship that's in trouble that's being destroyed by a brickleback, a big octopus sort of monster.
Right, and there's this code, right, that they have to go and save the other ship.
There's a code. And Captain Crow, in that moment, I mean, he's had 30, like, this is his chance to go get the Red Bluster. He says, no, forget them. We're going to go after the Red Bluster. And it's, Jacob that says, no, we have to honor the code. We have to go and save those people. So, in a way, he's sort of pushing towards, you know, helping people rather than
connection.
Which is connection rather than... So we kind of introduce that. But then once the story gets going, they kind of swap roles in a way, or swap values. They kind of present it in the opposite
a bit confusing,
way.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been nicer to see Jacob as this complete perversion of monster hunting.
Totally.
And Maisie as this possibly perversion, but also just representing that loving, feeling, connection binary that she's all about.
Yeah.
And then we would have been able to see a really good contrast between the two characters, which would set up some better conflict later in the story.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we did get a sense that Maisie did change along the way. I mean, you know, we see her kind of briefly set up as like, I'm going to kill the monster, I want to be like Jacob, and then learns to connect to the Red Bluster, you know, sees that the Red Bluster is all about connection.
I mean, she has like a complete 180.
And she has a 180 and, you know, but I don't know. It happens very early in the film. I don't know if you remember. It's when they're in the pink seashell on the beach.
Yeah, right.
And it kind of happens then that she says, maybe they aren't as bad as we all think that they are. Maybe, you know, they're just like us. You know, you know what I mean? Like, so her change happens very early. But then, Will...
Wait, can I just say, her change happens very early. Is it enough time for us to get a grasp of who her character really is? I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is. I think that if you're going to... we say change, but was it a change, or did she was she always like that? It happens so early that you kind of think... Maybe it's
confusing, isn't it? Because she, like you were just saying, in the pub, she's all like, kill the monsters. Oh, my parents died on the Monarch. I am all about killing monsters. And, you know, and then suddenly she's like, save the monsters.
Yeah. So and it happens so quickly and so early. So then she's kind of emotionally got nowhere else to go in the film. But then there's that scene towards the very end of the movie where she's in her cabin. And she's looking at the books on the bookshelf, and she notices that the King and Queen stamp is on all of the books, and she realizes suddenly that she's been told the wrong story, and so she has kind of another revelation that she's already had, by the way, that the monsters are actually nice, they're friendly, and that it's the monarchy that have done this,
pulling the wool over their eyes.
It's just to me, and to be honest, this is all our interpretation, people. This is all what we think. This is our opinion, and we might be wrong. We may have missed things in the movie, but at the same time, I did get a sense that it was a bit of a mess. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, I agree with you. I think that's an interesting point to mention.
Yeah, I've got a fix though. Can I do a fix?
Oh, a fix.
I've got a
You know
fix.
what? We need a sound effect for
We
for a
do.
fix.
We didn't have a story
anything?
fix. No. Oh, I can. What about this? That's all I got.
Sure, that's all you
That's
got.
all I got.
All right.
Sorry, it wasn't really.
Okay.
Well, I really wanted to talk about ghosts today. Okay, and when we say ghosts,
This is a film about sea beasts,
I
not
kn-
about ghosts.
I know we're not talking about the haunted ghosts, spirits and all that, and demons and shit. When we mention ghost in terms of a story, we're talking about an event that happened in a character's life. So everyone goes, "Oh, the backstory." There's more to it than the backstory. It's really, there's one particular moment in a character's life that changes them fundamentally. It actually removes one of their values. It breaks them into two pieces.
It splits them away from the source.
Absolutely.
And if we look down on a really, really deep level in terms of the mechanics of storytelling and how it all works, this is a breaking apart from the source, from nature, from unity and from the whole. And so this event, it symbolizes that, the part where they are become imbalanced and they must find and restore that balance.
Totally. And we see this in just about every second film that we see. We see a flashback and somebody has been abused as a child, or they've been in a car accident, or some major thing has happened that has split them from the source.
That's
and
right.
they become broken. They become two pieces.
And may I just add into that, usually a child in a story is represented as the whole, as the balance. So they're,
not all the time,
not
but
all the time, but
often.
Often, I would say a majority of the time, a child represents that whole, and they need to have an event like this to break them apart, to show that they are now, they've become an adult in a way, like us,
a broken
like
adult,
a broken person,
an imbalanced adult,
an imbalanced person, and it's almost a signifier of the difference between a child and an adult is that one's broken and one's whole.
Oh, totally,
So,
totally.
In storytelling.
Totally.
Storytelling terms.
And it doesn't always need to be something hugely dramatic either, like a death or something, or abuse. Could be as simple as like Casablanca, where the love of his life, Elsa, didn't show up at the train station.
Yeah.
Back in the past, and that caused him to become the shell of an empty man. Completely doesn't show emotion, doesn't care about anybody for the rest of his life after that.
Yep. Minority Report, his son dying.
Well, I think that's a bit bigger than someone not showing up to a train station.
That's much bigger.
Don't you think?
Much bigger. I thought we were just mentioning ghosts.
Okay, got it. So let's talk about the ghosts in this story. You've got Macy, who we hear often that her parents died on the Monarch, and you mentioned the Monarch is a ship that used to go out and hunt sea beasts, in the past. We never see the Monarch because the Monarch has sunken.
And it's seen as this hugely honourable thing that they sacrifice their lives in the pursuit of killing and destroying monsters.
Yeah, totally. So we've got that as a ghost incident. So you'd kind of think that if her parents died fighting the monsters, and if she thinks that the monsters are the death of her parents, that she's going to be so freaking gung-ho to kill those monsters.
Yeah, let's really dissect that. Like, what makes you flip 180 from hating the things that killed your parents to suddenly wanting to love and protect the things that killed your parents?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big character change to undergo, especially within a few minutes.
Absolutely massive to want... So, and here's the thing: they even though they presented her with the little girl, even though they presented her as someone who's like, gung ho, I want to get onto the ship and go and hunt the monsters. It was more of an idolization of Jacob and Captain Crow, rather than a revenge.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, I would expect a little girl who lost her parents to see monsters to be like, I'm going to go and kill those things.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But then to have the complete 180 so early in the film, it just didn't sit right with me, to be honest. The ghost just didn't inform her how it needed to, or she didn't act how the ghost should have informed her.
Yeah.
On the flip side, you've got Jacob, who doesn't have a ghost.
Right. Okay.
So there's
not all characters have to have ghosts.
Oh, they absolutely don't need to. It could be a pattern of behavior that affects them. But he's also gung-ho, or we think, to kill the monsters and the monsters. So, so it's kind of not... and it's okay. We don't get a sense of why he's like that.
Oh, I think we do. I think he wants to
we?
be captain. I think that
Oh,
accolade
okay.
because there's this great moment where he does, he changes and he wants to save the Red Bluster. He wants to protect and help the monsters.
When?
And then this is towards the end of the story.
Oh.
And then Captain Crow threatens him with loss of becoming captain, and he basically gives in to becoming.
That's his death, is it?
That's his death. He
Okay.
has this worst nightmare, this failure to launch.
Yeah.
Where he chooses the captaincy over saving Red Bluster.
Got it. Not really strong enough for me.
I don't know. I think it is strong enough. I just don't think they put enough emphasis from his character. Like you never see him going,
Yeah.
I've wanted to be captain my entire life. It's something that I will kill for. There's never
Yeah.
any of that. It's more like a novelty prize for him.
Yeah, but I guess I'm talking more about the value binary that we think it is, which is strength versus feeling. Him being the strength, you want him to be the I want to kill all the monsters. Go out there and doing the brave thing with all the skill and that sort of stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't
So you
sit
think
well.
like he'd want to there might another way of doing it might be that there is to get the horn of the Red Bluster and put it on his wall. Like that would be the ultimate thing for him. Or to win the love of a fair maiden from killing a monster.
Can I suggest a fix? And I might be completely wrong, and you might not like it, but let me try something.
I like this humbleness of yours.
So sorry, I might be completely bloody awful. But let's just say, okay,
Yeah.
let's just say that
Humility, sorry, not humbleness, humility.
Are you okay?
I'm just playing back my words in my head.
Christ, get in the corner.
Go on.
So let's just say, hypothetically, totally rewriting this, that on the Monarch in the past, Jacob also had his parents on board. Okay, so Jacob's parents were on board the Monarch, and so were Macy's parents. Both of them weren't born yet. There's not sure it could have been way back in the past, or it could have been her grandparents or something.
Right. This is your fix.
Yeah, this is my fix. And the ship went down while they were fighting this sea monster with another ship who was also like part of the Monarch. Right, the Monarch's there and they're both fighting the ship.
Sure.
But it turns out that Maisie's parents were on board for like scientific reasons. Right. They went on board to fight the monster. They were there to study the monsters. Okay. So they were there for more of a connecting sort of feeling, sort of the value there. Perhaps they were even trying to change the minds of people back then. And from their perspective, the ship went down because the monarchy.
Oh, right. Intercept
The monarchy actually. The ship went down because of the monarchy. But from his parents, Jacob's parents' perspective, the ship went down because of the beast.
Right. Okay.
So now what we've got is a ghost, which just so happens to cleverly be the same ghost, by the way, where you set up Jacob could be doing it all for revenge. So we have this guy who wants to go and kill the monsters because
they killed his parents.
Because they killed his parents. And then you could have, from Macy's perspective, who we could also pervert in a way, not sure how, maybe you can help me, where she's like, no, the monarchy killed my parents. Okay, so now we've got this, we've got this conflict between them where they both come from values on the other side of the binary, and suddenly they're thrown into this adventure on the Red Bluster where they're forced to.
And oh my God, they hate each other.
They hate each other. Absolutely.
Because they blame each other for the death of each other's parents.
Yeah. So why is Macy trying to get on his ship? Because in the actual movie, she's trying to get on because she idolizes him. She's heard that some important person in the monarchy is on the ship. I don't know. Help me here. She's trying to get on the ship to fucking kill that person or something, or
right.
Do you know what I mean? Like find another reason for her to get on the ship.
On the Monarch.
The Monarch. No. On the Imperator.
Someone on the Imperator, right? Contributed to the death of her parents.
Well, we have to get her and Jacob onto the Red Bluster together. We have to find a way to get them on. Maybe that's not the way.
Onto the Imperator, you mean? To kill the Red Bluster.
Well, they just have to end up with the Red Bluster.
The Red Bluster,
So they don't necessarily have to be on the same ship.
Right.
She could have been on a scientific vessel or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And both ships went down or whatever. And here's the thing. You know that scene with the books at the end? That absolutely should have been Jacob that had that scene.
Absolutely.
Right?
You're right.
It shouldn't have been her. In both versions of the story, in my version and this version, it shouldn't have been her that found that book. Right? In the current version of the movie, she's already kind of changed. So
it would have been actually nice if she had like a scientific journal that was hidden under her bed that was like a banned book. And it had all like the scientific information about...
Her parents' book.
Yeah, her parents' book that they'd passed down and she had to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
And it was...
No.
Yeah?
I'm going to yes and
it's
this.
happening in the moment, live.
Here it is.
Story writing.
No. Yeah, and Jacob finds all the books with the monarchy's stamp on it, realizes in that moment that he was completely wrong about everything, and he finds out the value. But also at the same time, like locked away somewhere, they find the parents' journal that the monarchy has tried to destroy. Right.
Right. Yes.
Do you see? Yeah. And then I think you would have had a much deeper conflict between these two characters, don't you think?
Yeah.
Based on a ghost. And by the way, the ghost didn't have to be the same ghost. That we could have separated the ghost, but the same thing. He's doing it for revenge for the monsters, and she's doing it for revenge on the monarchy. And they're both perverted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah. I think there's more to explore with this story. There's other
Way
avenues
more.
they could have taken, especially with those ghosts. It really shows how when you, the only... I don't want to say the only way to write stories, but you really need to understand the mechanics of how your story works so you can analyze different details within it. You can't just rely on your intuition to guide your storytelling.
No.
Because your intuition could be, and it will be affected and it will be influenced by so many different factors in your life, like the latest movie that you've seen, the book that you've read, a character that you might have met on the street, and you just don't know what is actually right for your story until you know exactly the function that it serves in the story and how it works.
Yeah,
on a fundamental level.
It can't just be... You have to identify where your intuition is coming from, and it might be coming from a different place, a different form of the story that the story shouldn't be, right? The story...
A different genre.
A different genre, yeah, totally. It needs to make thematic and emotional and logical sense.
That's right, yeah. All three of those, which is why writing is so bloody hard, because you've got to marry all those three things together.
Yeah.
Thematic, logical, and emotional sense.
Yeah. It's like doing a Rubik's Cube, isn't it? And getting all the sides the same color for balance. Yeah. I just have to say, so that version of the story, we could have written it so she was also a tower character. She didn't have to be
I
a
was
perverted.
just about to say that.
Yeah.
I think her character would have worked better as a tower character anyway. Or maybe it was tower
No,
character.
I'm talking about the version that I just came up with.
Yeah.
We
But even so in the story.
Yeah. She could have...
I don't see how you can pervert a conservationist approach to the monsters. Like I don't know how you would take that beyond what is reasonable.
But if she believes the monarchy killed the parents, right? She would have something against the monarchy.
Okay, right.
Even though because when you come out to the macro and you look at the macro symbol, the macro symbol is humans versus sea beasts.
Yeah.
And humans represented as the monarchy and the way of the books and the way of the kingdom, and then there's the sea beasts. Do you know what I mean? So
that story sounds like an auto intuition story to me.
Oh, okay. Right.
That there's this order, we must destroy the sea beast. We've done it for millennia. We've done it for year after year. And this is the way of the humans that we kill the sea
new version
beasts.
of...
The new version.
Right. Yeah, perhaps you're right.
And that way of doing things, they need to see beyond, which is intuition. They need to see beyond the sea beasts as being these monsters. And see them for being the creatures that they really are.
Fantastic.
That is the teaching. That's the learning that the characters go through.
Right. You wanted to say something about the witch character.
All right. This is just a little... side note almost, that there is a witch character that we see in it, that the Captain Crow it's Captain Crow, isn't it?
Captain Crow.
Captain Crow goes to a witch in order to find a way to capture Red Bluster.
Right. Yeah.
And
this happens late in the film.
This is quite late in the film, yeah. And anyway, well, the witch is stirring her cauldron. She's this mysterious, obviously ominous figure. And she...
Can I just note, just before you get to your point, usually when we see this type of character, they are more of an oracle type of character. We usually see them...
although an oracle is kind of teetering between good and bad. She's obviously presented as an evil witch.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, when we see a witch, usually we don't know whether they're good or bad. They do teeter. But this witch... was fully bad.
She's fully bad.
She also came in at the end of the story. Not
right. Yeah.
So anyway, keep
going. So not at a point that you typically see an oracle to come in. That's what you're saying. Anyway, this witch character is stirring her cauldron, and she basically says that she can give Captain Crow... I was about to say Cameron Crowe, the director of Almost Famous. Captain Crow gives Captain Crow what he wants, but he must sacrifice everything. And then
she literally says that. He says, "How much would this cost?" And she says, "Everything." She actually says like that.
And then we literally never hear from her ever again in the story.
She never comes to claim her prize.
She never comes to claim back. He doesn't lose everything. I mean, sorry, if you see it from the perspective of that capturing monsters is his whole life, then he does lose everything. But it's not like there's any sort of poison or punishment or death.
No, but there's a scene not far after that scene where the crew of the Imperator are like bitching about Cameron Crowe. Look what you've done. Bitching about Captain Crowe, saying, we're going to lose the ship. We're going to lose all of our crew because of this. But your point is, we never see that happen.
That's right.
We never see the payoff.
Yeah, there's no payoff there.
That's bad.
Why is that character even in that story?
Yep.
Hi, it's an animation film. You can just delete it.
Yeah.
And you can reanimate it.
Or quick fix. Maybe they've got something that the witch needs on board the ship. Maybe there's like a treasure chest of, I don't know, of treasure or some sort of ingredient she needs. And he goes and gives it to her and then gets the big weapon that he needs. I
don't know. There's a million ideas they could have come up with.
Yeah.
But, if you bring something in, you need to pay it off.
I think the treasure chest could be a good thing because it could have been earnings from the crew's earnings. It's all of their money.
This is silly, but maybe Captain Crowe is planning to retire, so he has to sacrifice his retirement and then go further into a perversion of monster hunting.
Yeah,
he has to be a monster hunter for the rest of his life.
But I think that if he gave the crew's money,
if
he sacrifices all of the crew's bounty.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Not just his. He's sacrificing everyone else's.
That's true.
Really shows his perversion.
You're right. Yeah.
Frowned Ashtek. Do you have anything else to say at all?
Look, the one more thing to mention is I really liked, this is just a minor teaching point, I really liked how the story focused on the relationship between Maisie and Jacob for the majority of the acts, for acts 1, 2, and 3, but then brought it worldwide in act 4. And we often see this in a lot of stories, that you really, in order to make a really true impact with the change doesn't just occur in the character, in the main character or the protagonist, it occurs in the story world.
Oh, absolutely. It's really important.
Happen in Act 4 where monster hunting is finished.
Yeah.
For the whole story world, that they approach the monarchy, the king and queen, and monster hunting is ended in the kingdom.
Well, we have 4 hero types that span our 4 acts. In Act 1, they are orphan. In Act 2, they're an apprentice. In Act 3, they're a warrior. And in Act 4, which is all about the world, they are a martyr.
Right.
So Act 4 really is about showing, it's about giving back to the world. It's about giving back the Tao that you've learned. The balance that you have gained at the end of Act 3, you have to prove it by giving it back to the world. So
that's right.
They did it really well in this one.
Yeah, they did it really nicely.
Yeah.
And it was one of those fuck you moments too.
NMG.
All right, we've come to the end of the podcast. It's time for our NMG, not my genre score.
Yes! Fantastic. What is that? That is, has our first impression score changed?
I'm dropping down to a 6.
Are you? What? Oh, yeah. I see. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What was your first impression score?
It was a 7.
7. Mine was a 9. Yeah, I'm dropping down 2. I think I'm going to drop down to a 7. Oh, Jesus.
That's a couple of points. I'm actually, like, you were actually talking about ghost moments and how it didn't sit right with you from the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is that's all sort of told at the beginning of the story. However, you were able to get over that and enjoy the film.
Yeah.
To give it a 9. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, we're story geeks.
Yeah, we are.
There's the difference between, people like us and the people probably listening to the podcast and general audience, is that people can just go in and forget and escape. And
can I say, some of the action sequences in the animation
are
is
amazing.
Really cool. Really amazing.
Yeah.
Great work.
Amazing. And I think that my first impression score, I was feeding off that. And I think it's also our job as storytellers to go in and deep dive and pull things apart and work out ways that it could have been. So I said mine was a 9. Well, maybe if they, fix some of those flaws, maybe, just our interpretation, maybe it could have been a 10.
Yeah, exactly. And one more thing to say is that you never know quite where a story is going from the beginning as well, and they could have broken rules and shown like an interesting way to have solved that. Like rules are there to be broken and to be played with and to be reflected. So it's always better to see how a story might do that as opposed to just being like, this story didn't follow the rules, therefore I'm rating it down.
Better to what? Better to
it can break the rule.
Better to see. Did you say?
See,
as in sea beast?
Oh my god!
I just had to use the little thing audio thing. I'm so sorry.
This is
That
what I'm
was
stuck
so
with. Everyone.
bad.
I have
That
to
was
do this.
so
I have to do a podcast with this person.
bad. Dude, dad jokes. Hey, that brings us to
Oh, I've got a great dad joke. Do you want to hear it?
what? Go
What
for
do
it.
you get when you cross an angry cow and an angry sheep?
What?
2 animals in a bad mood.
That's so bad. Hang on. Just had to. No. Hang on.
You only have a few buttons.
That's terrible.
It's so bad.
Hey, listen. I can hear the music. That brings us to the end of the podcast. It's been lovely.
It's been great.
It's been great. All you out there in Storyland, we'll be back next week with another fantastic
Well, yeah. it'll be fantastic.
podcast.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Wherever the weekend is for you. Bye.
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 No, we have to say bye at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
All I